what boundaries can do for you today on the Landlord Coach Daily Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Hey everybody, my name is Mark Dolfini, Landlord Coach and host of the Landlord Coach Daily Show. It is really nice to see you. So today we're talking about what boundaries can do for you, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second in terms of what do I talk about in terms of boundaries? Well, we all suffer with boundaries. We all have to deal with boundaries in different ways, whether that's as a business owner, as a friend, as a spouse, as a coworker. All sorts of different boundaries come up in our world and things that are important to us, and of course we just have to set up those boundaries. So I'm going to talk about boundaries here in just a second. But first, of course, I want to give a quick plug to the Landlord Coach page at landlordcoach.com/videos. If you'd like a free copy of the Landlord Coach, it helps to know the title of my book, doesn't it? The Time Wealthy Investor 2.0. If you'd like a free copy, you can head over there and check on that. But also want to give a quick plug over to our friends over at Rent-A-Ware. Rent-A-Ware.com is property management software designed for the individual mom and pop investor. So if you're looking for that, go ahead and check that out. But today what we're going to be talking about is what boundaries can do for you. So here it is, it's Monday, and I have pretty good boundaries in place, especially as a business owner. And I've been in business for myself now for only myself now since 2006. So 15 years, but I've been in business for about 22 years. Where I decided, that was prior to that, I was in the corporate world and that sort of thing. But so boundaries are really important as an entrepreneur. And I think with many entrepreneurs, those boundaries get blurred, where I know in my case where I would never, the workday never seemed to end. Even though I went home, the work would still follow me, right? So I know in that context, it's really hard to set up boundaries where, if someone's calling, it doesn't matter that I'm having a dinner date with my bride. That doesn't matter that, hey, I got to take this call because if they're not talking to me, they're talking to someone else. Meanwhile, I'm having this, conversation on the phone while my bride is sitting at the table by herself, eating her, her lasagna or whatever it is. And that's not a date night. That's not fun for her, right? And it's because I wasn't honoring boundaries that she has to pay the price for that. So, this morning, and I'm pretty good about setting boundaries. I've gotten way, way better, and I still have some work to do on that. But in terms of boundaries and setting up boundaries for where my workday starts and stops, one of the things that I've done is I've adopted the rule that I won't look at my phone, except maybe check the time, but I won't look at my phone until after I have gotten my day started, after I've gotten to the office, and after my morning routine is done. So part of that routine, obviously, I have the morning toilette that I take care of, the shit shower and shaving sort of thing, and then you go and take care of, get the kids to school and all that stuff. And then I do some prayer time, I do some meditation time, I do some reading, and then in that time in the morning, usually I'm getting my day started around 8:30. Like my work day is starting around 8:30. And one of the most important things about that time is I'm spending time getting my mental state right. Now, if any of you who follow Tony Robbins, he always talks about state, like making sure that you're in the proper state. So I'm in a very affirmative, very powerful state when I'm starting my day. So if I do open my emails or, text messages or, whatever opens up and it's something that is potentially going to reduce my state or beat me up, then I've got to be really careful about going into that in a depleted state already, right? So really, really interesting. But today, I didn't follow that. I broke one of my cardinal rules. I peeked over one of the boundaries that I had set. So I'm looking over the boundary, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I can go ahead and just quick pop on my email. And I did. And first couple were fine. And there was that one email that just set me off. Doesn't really matter what it was. I'm sure you can pick something. but it was one that was going to be dealing with a not really upset customer, but it was going to cost me upwards of $7,000 or $8,000. Not an inconsequential amount, no matter how much money you make. So I'm looking at this, and it really automatically, I started the internal dialogue. The internal dialogue, or the internal monologue, let's just say. There's no dialogue. It's me practicing what I'm going to say and how I'm going to respond to this, and all the conversations that I'm going to have. Right, this internal monologue is running, even though there's really nobody there in the car, even though I'm really not even starting my workday yet. But because I not only peeked over the boundary, I hopped over the fence, and now I'm standing in area that I shouldn't even be standing in at that time in the morning because I violated my own boundary. So as I'm standing there and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, and I'm getting really pissed because it was a silly mistake. It's something that shouldn't have happened. And then I realized, I'm like, and in that moment, and I'm going to give myself a win here, because it was in that moment I realized that I was in the wrong state. That internal monologue was not going to serve me well. It was an internal argument that I was having with an imaginary person that probably didn't even need to be had. The customer wasn't upset. It was just one of those things that happened, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm going to put that away where I can address that when I'm in the proper state. And as quick as it happened is as quick as it stopped. And pulled myself back into neutral and went into the office, finished my morning routine, and then started my day. It was interesting, though, why that happened. And I think this is really important to address as to when things like this do happen, because we're all going to violate our own boundaries. I mean, it just does happen, right? In this particular case, I violated the boundary of not going and checking my phone before I got busy with my normal, with my workday. I wanted to do this, my prayer time, my meditation time, my getting my state right before I started the work. So this was really, really important. But I stopped that because I recognized what it was doing. I recognized my state. I recognized where I was at. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this interrupt and set the tone for the entire day and the entire week and end the first quarter this way. I'm not going to do that. I'm not. So I stopped that. Went back, finished my routine, right? All the other stuff that I do. And then I started my day. But the reason why it happened is because my willpower battery had run down. Willpower it's just like a battery. So, and because last night I stayed up too late reading, it was a book I'm sucked into. I stayed up too late reading. I worked out yesterday. I had a really great day. It was a great day with the in-laws, with my bride, with our kids, and went to bed a little later than I should have. I only got about 6.5 hours worth of sleep, and I need about 7.5 hours, what I need. And because I didn't get enough sleep, my willpower battery was down, and that's when I peeked over the boundary. So notice I saying peeked over the boundary. All I had to do was just peek over and go, I'll just jump on social media for just a minute, right? Literally, has anybody ever jumped on social media for a minute, right? It's not possible. It just doesn't happen, right? I mean, if you can do that, that's great, because I can't. Next thing I know, it's 45 minutes later. I'm like, holy crap, how did I get into this scroll hole? So it was really interesting that time, that because my willpower battery was down and wasn't charged all the way up like it normally is, that's when I had to be even more vigilant. So I'm going to give myself a win on that, even though I maybe had a temporary setback. I wanted to share this story because there's so many entrepreneurs out there that see this show, even though they're not interested in real estate, but they see this show, and it's so easy to go past your boundaries of doing things that you're not supposed to be doing. And, I don't mean like bad things. I just mean that things that are not within your ideal skill set, the things that are not in alignment with what your best skills are. So because your willpower battery is down, you're going to end up doing things that are not in your unique genius zone, things that you're just not even good at, but you're doing them because you're oh, well, I'm just checking on things. No, let the system run. Do the things that, if you're getting the results that you want from that particular system, then why are you screwing with it, right? You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your people. You owe it to your clients to make sure that you're sticking to your boundaries so you can live your best life and your business serves you, not the other way around. So that's all I have for today. I don't see any comments. Well, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because my bride and I are going to head to the gym, and as sore as my body is, I'm still going to try to squeeze into a pair of sweatpants, and that's a scene that nobody needs to hear about. So anyway, that's all I have for today, everybody. Please be sure to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have an awesome day. I will see you guys next time.